Hello, welcome back. And now we are discussing the tourism. For other uses, tourism reflects the basic tourist reflection. Tourism is a travel for the player, for business, and the commercial activity of defined tourism. More generally, in terms that go beyond the common perception of the tourism, are being limited by the holidays activity only by as people travel to starving to place alongside outside the usual environment for more than the one convenience years for the leisure and not less than the 24 hours business and other purposes. Tourism can be domestic within a traveler's own country of international and international tourism has both income and the outcome and the outgoing implementation on a country's balance of the payment. Tourism numbers declared as a result of the strong economic and a slowdown in the late 2000s season between the second half of 2008 and the end of the 2009 and inconvenience of the outbreak of the 2009, but slowly recovered until the COVID-19 pandemic. But an apparent end of the growth, the United Nations World Tourism Organization estimated at the global intellectual tourism rise might emerging source markets such as China, Russia, and Brazil had significantly increased their spending over the previous decade, and global tourism accounts for 8% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, emissions as well as other significant emotional and social impacts that are these are greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gas is a are those gases that in the atmosphere that arise in the surface temperature of the planet, such as Earth. What distinguishes them from other gases in that they absorb the wavelengths of the radiation that planet emits, resulting in the greenhouse effect. And the emotions as well as other significant environmental and the social impacts on the focus of sustainable tourism to moderate the navigate effect caused by the growing impact of tourism. The United Nations World Tourism Organization that is that is a United Nation organization that organizes the tourism section of the United States specialized agency of the United Nations, which promote responsible, sustainable, and universally accessible tourism. It is headquartered in Madrid, Spain, and faced these practices by promoting tourism as a part of the sustainable development goals through the programs like the International Year for Sustainable Tourism for the Development in 2017. The program like Tourism for SDGs, focusing on how SDG 8, SDG 8, SDG 12, and SDG 14 implicate tourism in creating a sustainable economy. Tourism has reached a new dimension with the emerging industry of the space tourism as well as the current industry with the cruise ships. These are many different ways of the to their potential. New tourism industry is a virtual tourism etymology. The English language word tourist was used in 1772 as tourism in 1811. And these words are derived from the word tour, which comes from the Old English tourin and the Old French tour, Latin word lethi, which is itself from the ancient tourism. Definition 1936, the Lagos of the nation defined as foreign tourism tourist as someone traveling abroad for at least 24 hours. If successors the United Nations amend their definition in 1945 by excluding a maximum stay of the 6 months. In 1941, Hunziker and the Kraft defined tourism as a sum of the phenomena and relationship arising from the travel and stay of the non-residents insofar so they do not lead to permanent residents are not connected with any earning activity. In 1976, the Tourism Society of the England defining the definition was the tourism is a temporary short-term movement of people to demonstrate ourselves the places where they normally live and work. Their activities during the stay at each destination. It excludes the movement of all purposes. In 1981, International Association of the Scientific Experts in the tourism defines tourism in terms of the popular activities chosen and undertaken outside the home. In 1994, the United Nations identified three forms of the tourism in its residence on the tourism statistics: domestic tourism, that is excluding the residential of the given country, traveling only within the country. Domestic tourism is the tourism excluding the residents of the native of the country, or that can also be the person of that country itself. This native country heritage, world heritage sites are particularly the basics of tourism essential for the cultural assets, the cultural property, the nature of the travel location, and the world international tourism hands towards the World Tourism Organization and real terms that in economic normal nominal value refers to the value measured in terms of the absolute money amounts, whereas the real value is considered and measured against the actual goods or services for which it can be exchanged at a given time. For example, if one is offered a salary of $40,000 in that year, that might be about 6.5% over 2009, corresponding to an increase in the real terms of 4.7% in 2010. These were about 940 million international tourism arrival worldwide. By 2016, the number had risen to 1,235 million, producing 1,220 billion US dollars in destination spending. The COVID-19 crisis has significantly negative impact on the international tourism, significantly showing the overall increasing trend. The international tourism has significantly impact on the environment. Tourism impacted tourist and destination in both positive and the negative ways, encompassing economic, socio-cultural, and environmental dimensions. The traditional described domains of the tourism impact are economic, socio-cultural, and environmental. The economic effects of the tourism includes the empathic problems created of their air travels, aircraft engines produce gases, noise, and particulates from fossil fuels combustion, rising environmental concerns over their global effects that their effects on the local air quality. Jet airplanes communicate or contribute to climate changes by emitting carbon dioxide and best understand greenhouse and cure houses for the development of the and the purification of the air, but also by other issues including the wealthy tourist bringing lifestyles that stress local infrastructure in water and the trash systems, among others. And now we are studying about the basics, about their basics and the basics. Economic foundation of the tourists are essentially the cultural assets, the cultural property, and the nature of the travel location. The World Heritage sites are particularly worth maintaining today. World Heritage sites is a landmark or a area that legal protection by an international convention administration by the United States Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. It is also known as UNESCO and worth mentioning because they are a real tourism magnet. But even a country's current or former form of the government can be seized for tourism. For example, the seizing of the British royal family. The British royal family comprises of about King Charles III and its close relations with Charles is the head of the House of the Windsor. There is no strict legal or formal definition of who is or not a member, although the royal household had has issued a different list outlining who is a part of the royal family. Member of one or not bring millions of the tourists to the Great Britain every year, and there the economy is around 550 million euros in a year. The Habsburg family can be mentioned in the Central Europe. According to the estimation, the Habsburg brand should generate tourism sales of 60 million euros per year for women alone.